Hello and welcome to our channel Excel Education. In this video, we will be talking about the electron drift velocity and electric potential. Now, in order to understand the drift velocity better, we at first need to understand what is current density. Current density is basically the amount of current that flows through any unit cross-sectional area of a conductor. Area, being a vector, makes the current density to a vector and it is defined as J vector. So we can write current I equals to J vector dot A vector, where A is the total area of cross section of the conductor. Or we can also write current I equals to integration of J vector dot dA vector, where dA is the unit cross sectional area of the conductor. Now let's move on to our next topic, that is charge velocity and velocity of field propagation. The speed at which the charge carrier moves through the conductor is called the velocity of charge or the drift velocity of charge carrier. On the other hand, the speed at which the effect of applied EMF travels through the conducting body is known as the velocity of field propagation. This is also known as the speed of electricity. The speed of electricity is equivalent to the speed of light in free space, and it is independent of any parameters. On the other hand, the drift velocity of electron in metallic conductors is very low, typically in the range of a fraction of a meter per second, and it depends on the applied current, EMF, and the type of material used as the conductor. Now let's move on to our next topic, that is calculation of drift velocity. Here we are considering a conductor and applying EMF across its two terminals. So the free electrons present in the conductor will travel from the negative EMF to the positive EMF, from lower EMF to the higher EMF. But it can't follow a straight path because there are other electrons too that are bound to the nucleus of the conducting material. So it will follow a very haphazard path and will traverse very slowly throughout the conductor. Let us consider a conductor and suppose its number of free electrons is n per meter cube. The drift velocity of electron is Vd meter per second. The area of cross section of the conductor is a meter square. So in dt time, the distance travelled by the free electrons will be Vd into dt, that is Vd dt. Now the volume covered by the conductor of the length Vd will be a Vd dt because A is the area of cross section. If E is the charge of each electron, then the total charge that crosses any cross section of a conductor will be dq equals to NeA Vd dt. Since electric current I equals to dq by dt, so here the current will be NeA Vd. So Vd equals to I by NeA, and the current density J equals to Ne Vd, ampere per meter square, as J equals to I by A. The value of E is 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19 coulomb. Now, for copper conductors at 25 degrees centigrade, the number of free electrons present per meter cube is 10 to the 29, and the value of current density J is equal to 10 to the 6 ampere per meter square. So we can write drift velocity Vd equals to I by NA equals to J by Ne, as because I by A, here the part I by A will become J. After calculating, we get the result of Vd as 6.25 into 10 to the minus 5 meters per second. We get the result 6.25 into 10 to the minus 5 meters per second. So we can see that the drift velocity is too small in comparison to the speed of electricity, and it is typically a fraction of a meters per second. Let's move on to our next topic, that is electric potential. So what is electric potential? Electric potential is basically the amount of work necessary to move an unit positive charge from a reference point to a specific point inside an electric field. Typically, the reference point is a point at infinity or at the earth. The conventional direction of current is from higher potential to lower potential, that is, the opposite to the direction of flow of current. The SI derived unit of potential difference is volts, which takes its name from an Italian physicist and chemist named Alessandro Volta. The difference between the potential of two different points is known as the potential difference. Voltmeters are used to measure the potential difference. So here we can see that a magnesium ribbon and a copper plate is submerged in sodium chloride solution. This will make the magnesium ribbon negative and the copper plate positive due to chemical reactions, and this will create a potential difference between these 2 points. But there won't be any electrical current because the circuit is not complete. Now if we add a resistor here, the current will start flowing. The electron flow will be from the magnesium to the copper plate, but the conventional current flow will be copper to magnesium. Why this is opposite? Because when Benjamin Franklin invented electricity, he thought that the positive charge carriers are the reason behind the flow of electricity. But we know in metallic conductors, electrons are the reason behind the flow of the current. But the conventional way was too well established, so the scientists didn't change the conventional current flow, and it is still considered as the direction of flow of positive charges. So the direction of an electric current is by convention the direction in which a positive charge would move. Now let's move on to our next topic, that is circuit parameters. So what is a circuit parameter? Circuit parameters are basically the unique characteristics shown by a circuit or a circuit element. As for example, there is resistance for resistors. Just like its element counterpart, the circuit parameters can also be divided into two categories. The first one is active parameters that include voltage and current that take active part in the circuit, and the second is passive elements just like resistance, inductance and capacitance. So what is resistance? Resistance is basically the property of substance due to which it opposes the flow of electricity. While discussing the electron drift velocity, we came across the concept that the electron is repelled and collides with other bound electrons. That is the reason behind the appearance of resistance. The SI derived unit of resistance is ohm, that takes its name from a mathematician and scientist named George Simon Ohm. The resistance of a conductor is said to be 1 ohm when it allows 1 ampere of current to flow when 1 volt is applied across its terminals. Resistance basically varies with the change of physical properties of the conductors, just like the length, the area of cross section and the temperature of the conductor. It also depends on the type of conductor we are using. Now let's move on to our next topic, that is the laws of resistance. As we have said in the previous slide that the resistance depends on the various properties of the conductor. So what are these conductors and how the resistance varies along with them? So the resistance varies directly with length, so R varies as L. The resistance is inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the conductor. The resistance of a conductor is also varies proportionately with the resistivity of the material. So we can say that resistance R equals to rho into L by A. But what is resistivity? Resistivity, also called specific resistance, is the measure of the resistance offered by any two opposite faces of an unit cube of a material. So if we take a material and take a unit cube of it like this, my drawing is not good. If we take a unit cube of any conducting material, the resistance offered by two different sides, like this side and this side, or the side at the down and the side at the up, is basically the resistivity. The unit of resistivity is ohm meter. Resistivity basically depends on the conducting material and its temperature. Depending on the resistivity of the materials can be divided into three categories. They are conductors, they have a low or medium resistivity; semiconductors; and insulators, they have very high resistivity. Now let's move on to our next topic, that is effect of temperature on resistivity. The resistivity of metallic conductors increases with increase in temperature. Same for alloys, the resistivity increases, but the increase is very slow. Alloys like manganese that are used for electrical works show practically no change in resistivity with increase in temperature. For non-metallic conductors, however, like carbon electrolytes, the resistivity decreases with increase in temperature. For some materials like mercury, lead, niobium alloys like niobium titanium, niobium germanium, etc., the resistivity or resistance decreases tremendously with decrease in temperature. This particularly happens in the very low end of temperature range, somewhere close to the absolute zero. This is due to an effect named Meissner effect, and these materials are called superconductors at that very temperature. Now let's move on to our next topic, that is conductance and conductivity. So what is conductance? Conductance is basically the reciprocal of resistance. It is typically the measure of how easily a current flows through the conductor or conducting material. The SI unit of conductance is Siemens. It is also called as mho. The mho symbol is the opposite of ohm symbol, and the name mho comes from just the opposite of ohm. OHM and MHO, they are opposite. So what is the conductivity of a material? The conductivity of a material, just like resistivity, is defined as the amount of conductance offered by two opposite faces of an unit cube of a conducting material. So the conductivity is basically 1 by resistivity. Okay, 1 by resistivity. The unit of conductivity is Siemens per meter. So similar to the equation of resistance, we can say that the conductance G equals to sigma into A by L, where sigma is the conductivity and G is the conductance. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and do share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.